So, yesterday I already made the filling for the pierogies. Yum, yum, yum. And basically, your white potato mashed up, and cooked bacon, cooked onion, and extra old cheddar, or actually old cheddar is what I use. The more cheesy flavor, the better. I wish I could say what proportions there were, but I'd say for this amount is roughly like 6 to 8 potatoes, peeled and mashed, and then maybe 5 strips of bacon, 1 small onion, and I like about 2 cups of cheddar. So anyways, that's what it is. It's nice and cool now. It'll be easy. I find I like to make them into balls when I'm filling them. So just by squeezing them quickly. So anyways, that's the filling. And on to the dough. So I've started making my pierogies using whole wheat flour, but because a lot of my family members aren't necessarily used to that, I'm going to kind of mix it half and half, just to kind of keep things going easy. So what you'll need is flour. If you're using whole wheat, I recommend a little bit of olive oil to kind of keep the elasticity. And in our family, sour cream. Full fat, I know this is probably backwards because I'm using my MacBook, so I don't know. 14% is what I use. And the recipe my mom always taught me was sour cream, flour. That's it. So basically, because I don't know what quantities of both to use, I basically put a little bit of flour and a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of flour, a little bit of sour cream, till it's not sticky to your hands anymore. So that's basically what I'm going to get doing here. I'll do that a little bit. Here's my good old white flour. So I'll pour a little bit of that in there. I don't know. Let's see, that would be 2 cups of each, 3 maybe. I don't know, some scoops. I'm just going to blend those flours together. And just as a half cup measuring cup. So I just plunk that in the middle, kind of like when you're making pasta. It's really not that different than making pasta, actually. I'll probably put half this container in it first and then work it with my hands to see how it goes. So I will do that for a little bit. And actually, I'm just going to put another little scoop of this on top. I'll work it a little bit with a spoon until it gets blended, and then I'll just work with my hands. Okay, so I'm just working it in with my hands now. As you can see, it's still sticking to my hands. And that was, yeah, so half the container, 500 grams. At this point, once it starts getting clumpy, I find it easier just to work directly on the table. The bowl kind of gets, well, annoying. So I will probably just dump it up, and then you can see, kind of like even like a pie dough when it starts flaking apart. This will probably need more moisture, but that's what I'll use to add in the oil. Let's work this down. Okay, I'm just going to put a bit of oil in here now. It'll also be sometimes just easier. So I just put it in my hand. That's probably a tablespoon and a half to almost 2 tablespoons. So just keep working it in until it's not flaky anymore. You can also use warm water if you want, but I find the nice thing is when you add the oil in, it keeps it more pliable longer, like it doesn't dry out as fast. So that's why I like using the oil. Okay, this is going to be very tough dough at this point. So I'm going to add a little bit more oil. So probably added a total of 3 tablespoons, maybe even 4. There we go. now it's getting some movement here. So anyways, I'll continue doing this until it doesn't break apart so easily like that. Be more consistent, and then I'll start rolling it out. Okay, so what I have here is a nice ball of yummy dough. I probably have actually 60% whole wheat in here now that I look at it. So my table has a fair bit of olive oil worked into it here. So you can put plastic down and use those, those called picnic table clips, and then that would help to protect your surface and, well, make it easier to clean up if you want. So anyway, sprinkle a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick, although I'm pretty certain with the olive oil on there, probably wouldn't anyway. Make a big mess. So I have it into a bit of a disc already, so kind of flatten it out. Again, like cinnamon buns, any other rolled out flat dough is done the same. This is the part that really works out those good Ukrainian muscles you got going on there. I knew that my mama gave me those for a reason. I've been watching my mother make pierogies since, oh my goodness, I can't even remember how long, but as long as I can remember. And cinnamon buns and cookies and cabbage rolls and all those lovely things that, well, quite frankly, most of us don't make from scratch anymore. But we don't need these things to die out. Oh, you'll see over here what I've done. I actually took half the dough, rolled them each half into a ball, and I wet a cloth, like tea towel kind of thing, just dampened it and covered it to put the dough in, and just kind of covered it a bit so it doesn't dry out. Nothing worse than trying to roll out tough, destroyed dough. So here we go. This is almost too much flour on the board here. You want to roll it out pretty thin, otherwise you wind up with very chewy. I'm thinking like 1/8 of an inch. Right now I have about 1/4 of an inch, and it needs to get quite a bit thinner. Yeah, especially if you're using whole wheat too, I find that you wind up with very chewy pierogies, and too much dough is just not so much fun. The fun part about pierogies is the inside. So, and it's the same dough that you would make for, see, we grew up and did blueberries with a little bit of sugar as a dessert, and it's the same dough. You're probably thinking, what? Blueberries and pierogies? But actually, if you pour warm milk or like a warm cream over top and put a little bit more sugar on that, it is so delicious. You wouldn't fry those ones, obviously, you would just boil them, but they're so delicious. Here we go, now we're getting somewhere. Unfortunately, my rolling pin always, or maybe I don't know how to roll, but the inside middle part is always thicker than the outsides. So I probably just don't know how to roll. These go by feels. Yeah, the inside's so thick. Anyway, just keep rolling it out. Almost done here. Then, so what I do is, yeah, I have one of those, well, a few of them actually. What are they called? The Hunky Bill pierogi makers. Yeah, you can use those, absolutely. But I always found that I'm pinching the edges again anyways. So that's, well, it's just pretty useless. So I'd rather go the old-fashioned way, the way my mama did it, with a cup. Just a regular old tumbler. Okay, I think I have this thin enough. So I'll just make sure and check out that middle. Yeah, no, not too bad. Make sure it's not sticking to the table. So what I'll do is I'll cut out my discs and then get them ready for filling. Okay, so just put off to the side just a little bit of flour. That's for squishing your cup into. Hopefully I'm not getting any flour on my computer. So anyways, just like when you make cookies, same type of deal. Make these little discs. And stack them off to the side. As many as you can. Like I said, you get a few dozen pierogies this way, which is really. This is, however, the part that is really good to get your children to do. But since the majority of mine are sleeping, yay, and the oldest one is probably watching a video, I'll just leave it be this time. Maybe I'll call him up next time. I don't want to take too long here. Anyways, you get the point. Just keep going until it's all done. Okay, so once you have those cut out, you'll wind up with your leftovers. Just form it into a little ball again and throw it in underneath the cloth with your other one. If it gets too tough or really hard to work, and the more they get destroyed, all you do is put a little bit more oil in or sour cream and it'll help to loosen that up. Okay, so I have 2 spoons, a big one and a little one. This is also something that's really good to get your children to do, providing they're not, big nose pickers or anything. So I line them up, a bunch of them up, get it going. But the good thing that's easy enough for your children to do is to make those little balls I talked about in the beginning. You're basically taking like your soup spoon and crushing it on there and then squeezing it in your hands. Now it makes kind of like well, obviously mine has fingerprints, but it makes that kind of shape, kind of like a little boat, or I don't know, what does it look like? Actually, it kind of looks like a hog. Anyways, it makes this shape. This is perfect for, and I'll move this closer, hopefully this will work. You take one of these, and it looks like, kind of like doing a taco. Once you've done a few, until I get the shape right, it's kind of like you're filling a taco. And you just close it around and pinch off the edges. And make sure you pinch them off really good, because there's nothing more annoying than doing your pierogies, you're boiling them up, and you wind up with a very, very delicious potato, cheese, and bacon soup, because all of them have popped open. So anyways, if you find that your dough is feeling kind of dry because, you're halfway through and your discs are drying out or whatever it is, again, just wet the inside edge with some oil or warm water, and it'll be fine. So anyways, just throw them there, line them up on a cookie sheet, and lined with wax paper or parchment, whatever you want. Wax paper's fine because you're not actually using it to cook on. And stick them in the freezer to freeze a little bit. It doesn't take long, just enough so that they won't stick together. Nothing worse than pulling out a clump of pierogies and trying to boil them apart. That's pretty much it, and you just keep going. Nice thing to, like I said, to have your children do is make the little filling creatures. They'll have fun and whatever. And there you go. That is pretty much it. When it comes to cooking them, right from frozen, you don't have to thaw them. You get your water boiling and you throw them in to the water. Okay, maybe not throw, but don't need to get splashed. You put them in the water, and once they're floating, they're done. And from there, if you want to fry them, that's fine. I know that you can put them right into the frying pan from frozen, just like the store-bought yucky ones. But they just, I don't know, I have a hard time. I'll burn them, maybe because I cook them too hot. I'm not a very patient woman, believe it or not. So sometimes it takes too long. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Half a sour cream container, and I'd say 5 or 6 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of oil, and whatever kind of filling you want. If you want cottage cheese filling, a little bit of pepper, use dry cottage cheese because no one wants to be getting a great big mouthful of ooey gooey wet mush. Any kind of fruit filling ones that you want to do, just a little bit of sugar and top them with cream. I think that's about it. Happy pierogi making.